Hi, ship gardeners. It's now time to plant our tomatoes outside. It's after April 10th. And if you have given your tomatoes some time outside to get used to the outdoors, which is called hardening off, then you're ready to plant your tomato outside. And the first thing you had to do was find some soil for your big pot. I decided to use some compost that I've been making. This is from our kitchen scraps and leaves in the yard, but you could also buy potting soil or do a mixture or just find any soil out in the yard. So I filled up my pot. It took a lot of soil. And now I'm gonna take my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes, and I've got 2 here, but we really just want 1 in our big pot because this plant is gonna take up the whole pot. This whole pot will be filled with roots from just 1 plant. Let's go ahead and peel off some of this pot and really see those roots in there. It's okay if we leave some of the bottom on because that will decompose. And now I'm gonna break it apart. So I end up with 2 tomatoes. Okay, one of these I'll just plant somewhere else out in the garden, and then the other one I'm going to plant in our pot. So let's make a nice deep hole, and tomatoes can actually root from the stem. So if we bury this tomato all the way up to its first leaf, then roots can come out from all of this stem on the tomato, and the tomato will be really strong with lots of roots. So I'm going to plant this tomato as deep as I can so that lots of the stem is buried. That. And then I'm going to actually snip off this bottom leaf with my fingernail. That's because we don't really want tomato leaves touching the soil. They might pick up a disease there. Press it nice and down, and then I'm going to mulch it just like we do with our peas. So I've got some dry leaves here. There, I mulched all around the tomato, and remember how great mulch is? It's going to hold the water in, and it's going to keep the soil not too hot and not too cold, and it will decompose and turn into compost too. Plus it will keep any weeds down that try to grow. So we love mulch. Now, tomatoes are very heavy feeders. That means that they need a lot of plant food. So throughout the growing season, this tomato will probably need some fertilizer. And you can use an organic fertilizer like garden tone or plant tone, or some bone meal or blood meal, or you can use just any garden fertilizer or tomato fertilizer. And you could always make a compost tea like we've learned in other garden clubs, where you soak some compost or some green leaves in water and get all the nutrients into the water and then sprinkle that on your tomato or on the soil. So other than that, you're going to put your tomato in a super sunny location. It needs as much sun as possible, and you're going to keep watering it when it feels dry. And if by some chance we get a very cold night where the temperature goes below 40 degrees, you can lift up this whole bag and bring it inside for that night. So you have to keep your eye on the temperature for a couple of more weeks, but we should be good to go. Then you'll watch for your tomato to start flowering. The tomato will start to have little yellow flowers once it gets really big and tall. And each of those little flowers that gets pollinated will make cherry tomatoes. And remember, these cherry tomatoes are going to be yellow or orange, so you don't wait for them to get red because they're never going to get red. They should start producing tomatoes in June, and they might be able to keep on going right through to September. All right, let's take a look at our peas. I bet your peas are growing really well. I decided that I should probably stake my peas a little bit, so I put a tomato stake in here, and they're climbing up the edges of the tomato stake. You could also stick a branch in there and they'll climb up really anything. This will help them have a little bit more support and grow a little stronger and produce a little bit more peas for us. Your peas should start making some white flowers pretty soon, and that's where they'll grow the snap pea pods. So these are the kinds of peas where you eat the whole entire pod, and you just put it right in your mouth and crunch it up. They're a delicious garden snack. Your peas will keep growing until the weather gets really hot, and then they'll start to turn yellow and begin to die back because they prefer cool weather. But when they do die back and turn yellow, you can pull them out and take a look at the roots and see if you can see any of those nodules that we talked about where the symbiotic bacteria, the rhizobia, are living. All right, well that's it, ship gardeners. Great job. I hope you get to enjoy your peas and tomatoes soon. Bye.